All right, so the next thing we're going to do is actually process the sample that we got from our stream today, earlier in our stream sample. Typically, we do about 3 jars at each site. So again, talking about going to the upstream and downstream locations, we normally would have 3 of these and everyone would be picking through. We'd actually have 6 in total because 3 at the upper site and 3 at the lower. But here we have Matt. He's going to pour it out right into this white tray, and him and Ray are going to pick through these inverts, see if we have anything, make sure everything comes out of the jar. As of right now, we can see some worms. There's a crayfish over there. A bunch of little, wow, a lot of worms, a lot of aquatic worms, some stoneflies, ton of things to choose from. So what they're going to do, Ray and Matt are both going to start to pick through some inverts. They're going to get some water in the invert tray, and Matt will start picking through, and we can see we have a crayfish moving over here, and some aquatic worms and some stoneflies. And what they're going to do is try to break up all the detritus and get pretty much everything that's out of this, get everything out of the sample. So what they're going to be doing is taking each of these organisms and actually separating them out into this ice cube tray. Caddisflies go in one, stoneflies will go in another, aquatic worms, the crayfish will go in one. Each of these will be separated out, which could be used later for our analysis. So I'm going to let them pick through this, and we'll come back when they're done. All right, so as you can see, these guys have really collected a lot of these inverts, putting them into these trays. So they pretty much are done. That must have been the last round of that. So in this first one, we have some aquatic worms, or they're really earthworms that have come into the system. Second thing here, we have stoneflies. You can tell they mostly have 2 tails and a few other characteristics. We normally do have a key out here for aquatic macroinvertebrates. Next one here, we have black flies. Everyone loves black flies. They're right in that one. These are a ton of caddisflies, case caddises, and ones that make them out of leaves and stones, and these guys hang out in these little huts that they make. This is riffle beetles. These are all little beetles that like to live in the riffles, and that's exactly where we took our sample. Next, what we have going on are little midge larvae, and then a little rusty crayfish, which is one of our invasive crayfish. And then one other really neat find that we have here is a flatworm. These are worms that live on undersized rocks and are pretty cool little creatures. So that was a fun find. So now what we're going to do is use our EPT sheet to look at the really stream health from these aquatic macroinvertebrates. So as you see here, we have our stream macroinvertebrate sampling data sheet. You could tell your stream and your location, who it's identified by, and the sampling date. Has a ton of invertebrate taxas on the side here: mayfly, stonefly, caddisfly, all the way down. Each column means something different. So you have the first column here, which is your number of taxa. These are going to be how many of each of them are in the group. Then the next one is percent, which is that number of taxa divided by that total number on the bottom times 100. That gets your percent. Each of these are assigned an aquatic biota value. Really good bugs that indicate good water quality are 1, and all the way on the bottom, the aquatic worm, which can live in pretty much anything, is a 0. So after that, you move over to the next column, which is your total biotic value. This is your percent, which you get from column 2, and multiply it by your biotic value. So if your percent was 20 for mayfly, you'd multiply it by 1.0, and your total biotic value would be 20. And you would do that all the way down. You'd add those all up on the bottom to get the BWQI. So that's that. And then you move over to one more, and you get your weight in grams. So you're going to pull out a scale for this. You're going to weigh them. You're going to get your weight in grams. And then you're going to add all that weight up on the bottom, as you can see there. And then the percent by biomass is your last column here. That's your taxa weight, which you get is from your weight in grams, the column previous, divided by the total weight, which is on the bottom, times 100, and that gives you your percent, and then you'll add up those percents on the bottom. As you can see in the corner, we have EPT. That's Ephemeroptera Plecoptera and Trichoptera. These are your mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies. Really good water quality indicators. I just wanted to throw this out so you can see this sheet. It is in the Moodle homepage where you can look at all this. And then on the bottom, where you get your density in column 1, where you get your BWQI in column 4, where you get your weight in column 5, and then in 6 over here, your EPT. You can get all of this on the bottom, and it'll tell you if your water quality is excellent, good, fair, or poor, or average, or anything like that. So we'll show you how to do this whole sheet in the next part of the video. So what we have here are Ray and Matt, who are going to get the number of each taxa. If you don't know what some of these invertebrates are, we have our aquatic macroinvertebrate key here. Has all the information that you'd need to look at the ones that are found in most of our systems. So what they're going to do here is number of each taxa, and they're going to identify them. So Matt obviously knows what his invertebrates are, so he doesn't need to look at the key, but Ray's going to help him out in counting some of the other stuff. So some of the invertebrates that we get are not on this stream invertebrate data sheet, and that's fine. So now that they got that, they're going to add them all up. You're going to get your density with that number. So a total of 72 aquatic macroinvertebrates. So now we're going to look at our percent. And so that's the number of your taxa divided by the total number times 100. So Matt's going to do that for all of them. So Matt got all of those down. The next one that we're going to do is our total biotic value. So that's the percent that we have here multiplied by our assigned aquatic value. So each of these bugs have an assigned value, and ones that are really good for water quality and understanding stream health, they are 1, and as you go down they start going down, and aquatic worm, which we have here, has a 0 aquatic value because they really don't do anything for the system. So we're going to have Matt do 18 times 1, which is 18, and then he's going to go down the rest of them and yep, and then he's going to add them up on the bottom for your BWQI, which we can talk about after.
$77.46.
And then now comes the fun part. So we're going to take all of these aquatic organisms and weigh them in grams on a scale. All right, so we're all set up here. We have our scale. We have some paper towels because obviously these insects are going to be waterlogged. So what we're going to do is Matt's going to zero this scale and tear it. So he's going to put some paper towels on there. And there it is. So Ray here is going to help him, and we can go in whatever order we want to weigh out each of these individuals. So maybe do the crayfish first. We'll get his weight, and Matt's going to record it. All right, 0.31 for our crayfish. And we're going to go each one of these trays and weigh each of them and record it. So we have now weighed out all of the inverts here, as you can see, in their weight in grams, and they're going to weigh it or add it all together to get the biomass. which we have Ray doing now.
$1.52.
Okay, and then the final column that we're going to do here is percent by biomass. So it's your taxa weight divided by the total weight times 100. And then here you can see these little letters EPT. They're associated with mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies. So your Ephemeroptera, your Plecoptera, and your Trichoptera. These are indicators of good water quality. Your EPT taxa is something that you want to be aware of when you're sampling.
$23.68.
All right, and then the only thing we actually have to add up for this part is your EPT. So 9.87 plus 32.9.
42.77.
So here we're going to look at the bottom. We have our biotic water quality index, our standing crop biomass, our density, and our EPT by weight or number. So for here, these are what the totals and the parentheses next to them mean. So density, we have 72. If you look at density over here, 50 to 100 is about average. So we had about an average density of our invertebrates for every foot squared. Next one we had for BWQI is 77.46. Anything over 79 would be excellent water quality, but we fall between the good water quality index right here. We have our biomass, which is our standing crop biomass at 1.52. 1.52, again, we're about average. The stream's not looking excellent, but it's been okay so far. And then our EPT by weight. And this would be a percentage once we multiplied it, and it's over 10%. So we had some excellent EPT, even though we were missing the mayflies on here. But this is how you do a stream invertebrate worksheet. Again, any questions, please feel free to ask.